Good morning, good evening, and good night. This is a scene for Living World of Darkness Changeling menu. Now, I did a scene earlier, about the other day, I believe, and the audio didn't come out so well. So here I am doing the bar challenge once more. I'm just going to recite the same story, nothing gonna add it. Here goes. The scene is set at the area for the bard challenge. Sitara's gonna walk up once more and recite her small little story. There was once a very special light, a tiny thing that was easily overlooked. Perhaps the owner of the building the light now lived in felt pity for the little machine when he passed it in an old secondhand store some time ago. So he wound it up, gave it new life, and left it to light the pathway between two floors in his building. A new tenant in the building, 2C, loved the light. In the darkness right outside her door, the little light gave her hope and warmth. They lived in a dangerous city. Not even the owner came about too often. But life is, as such, in a dark gray world. So the new tenant lived with her comforting light outside her home and inside her soul. Another tenant, an old one, so old, it was as if he appeared the moment the very complex was built, hated the light. El viejito, they called the old man in 1A, mirth in their voices. The building people didn't really pay much attention to him. He was harmless, right? An old man who just didn't like this silly little light, and no one even remembered what he really looked like. But his voice was calming, he paid rent on time, and he made no problems. They paid him no mind. But the new tenant did. She loved the light and never felt comfortable with the old voice that lived in the bottom floor. The old voice knew everyone in the building, even though he never opened his door to anyone. Or rather, no one ever saw him do so. Even though no one believed her reason for discomfort, the new tenant made sure to stay away from 1A or try not to keep too close to the door. The voice sometimes followed her even in her dreams. She didn't like it. But she kept her chin up. Her light gave her joy, and the little light seemed to grow brighter as she did. Sometime after the little light came to the building, the other tenants became restless. But no one dreamt, there was no laughter, and everyone seemed drained, with the exception of 1A and 2C. El Niña, the voice of 1A, asked 2C one weird afternoon, "How do you keep such a smile on your face? Is life going well? You have a novio, don't you? Yes, that blush you have. You must have something or someone making you glow." 2C never liked 1A's ponderings, but she couldn't ignore his question. "Just a good week. Maybe I'm just lucky." She moved on, but stopped at the staircase between the floors, the light giving her strength from up above. "But what about you, sir? What's your secret?" 1A didn't answer her. She smiled, her face nearly hurt from her grin. Everything was going good right now. For a while, at least. The sudden darkness within the hearts and minds of the fellow tenants got worse, and worse as time went on. After a while, the screams that came from their apartments at night and even in the day became commonplace. No one called for help, because they were all doing it. Except for 1A and 2C. When your mind starts to crumble and your heart darkens and spoils, you do things. Things that can hurt everyone. As time went on, the number of tenants dwindled. 2C became suspicious of 1A. The little light seemed to have spurred her on. She felt like a champion against the darkness that came to their building. One night, as the sudden quiet of the building had set in, 2C couldn't do it anymore. She got up and started to the hallway to give 1A a piece of her mind. She didn't have to be afraid. She had her light. Or she would have, had there not been a shadow in front of her doorway when she opened it. Hello? It was 1A. Don't ask 2C how she knew, but she did. This looming, lanky form, all limbs, just stood outside her door, not paying attention to her, but rather the light that rested next to her door. "What do you think you're doing?" Tussie cried, grabbing the bat she kept next to her door. "Leave, you feet!" She raised the bat, but stopped when she saw 1A turn its head towards her. She desperately sought out eyes on the face, but only found burnt-out sockets. "1A, go back to sleep, Tussie. I have found out the problem." 1A's voice was suddenly louder, gruff, and it frightened Tussie to her tears. With a strike towards the light by her door, 1A had ripped out Tussie's only source of happiness in the depressing building. "Let it go, it's not yours!" Tussie screamed at 1A to put the light back, but soon stopped when she realized the further the form of 1A walked away, the colder Tussie felt. Suddenly her own apartment felt haunted, as if at any moment it would start closing in on her. Her oven would explode, or her bathroom would crumble down to the next floor when she stepped on it, or that the soft shadows under her bed was really a den of evil creatures that lived under there, ready to grab her ankles and drag her down. Tussie followed 1A down the stairs, too terrified of being away from the light to even consider being terrified of being close to the once affectionately called El Viejito. "Please, please give it back. It's so dark. Please, just give it back. It's dark. Please, just put it back. I can't go back in there without it." But her pleas and cries did not affect 1A. He still slunk down the stairs and then into the cellar. Tussie hesitated for merely a moment, the gravity of the situation slowly seeping in, but she couldn't ignore the heavy silence and sudden stillness of the rest of the building. If her light was in the cellar, with whatever 1A was, that creature, she would brave it. After Tussie ran down the cellar staircase, she immediately sought out 1A in the light. She looked and she saw the near workbench that had been set up in the far corner. 1A, taking a screwdriver to the little light that seemed to grow brighter as Tussie ran closer. "Stop that, you're killing it!" 1A stopped for a moment. "So you know it lives?" "I don't know that. No, all I know is that thing is the only thing that has kept me here in this giant tomb. Give it back to me." "I cannot, you see. Your light, your comfort means nothing. You're not the only one that lives here. I will not have this creature live here." "Creature? Surely 1A was joking. It's a light. The owner put it up because the turn at the staircase was too dangerous to have unlit." Tussie spoke as she tried to get a good angle to grab the light and run back upstairs. 1A was crazy. She'd have to get away. After she saved the light, she had to keep it safe. The little one. 1A turned to her and the sockets focused on her face and what she felt but couldn't think was even possible. Pity. This is the worst kind of evil. He then stabbed the light, shattering the plastic covering and its delicate glass bulb. Tussie thought she was screaming. She could feel her throat going hoarse. But she heard another scream, coming from the light. Pitch-colored goo oozed out of the light bulb that was still shining, except it was flickering on and off and on and off and on and off. The machine shuddered, and Tussie knew she heard it screaming to be saved, asking her to save it. Why? Tussie just stood there watching the little light slowly die, staying. And then she felt warmth seeped into her bones. The dark cellar seemed to brighten up. It was still a dark cellar, but it wasn't so heavy and oppressive anymore. Tussie, in her heart of hearts, knew that the rest of the building was becoming the same. It's going back to normal. That shadow was leaving gone. 1A soon let go of the dead little light. The goo stopped spewing forth, and its outer shell seemed to dull and rust before their very eyes. 1A took it and gave it to Tussie, who immediately shrieked and threw it back. Keep that thing away from me. Not so nice, huh, Amelia? But it's the worst kind of evil is that. The worst kind of evil is the light that siphons others. But I didn't get affected. You were but a host. Next time you will listen to the reason of your elders. When I left the cellar, the little light in his hand, and 2C stood there, horrified, but pondering, wondering. It really was a special little light. And that's the end of it. I hope that people enjoyed it. I hope you can hear it, because seriously, I really hope you can hear it, because I don't want to have to do this again, because I really, really suck again. Second time's the charm, and hopefully not third times. So, I hope you enjoyed it, and adios. Have a nice night, or day, or afternoon. Peace.